Hi guys, welcome back. It's time for yet another video. Today we're going to be looking at on Windows 10 how to install Angular development environment, Angular 8 in this case. But the steps remain the same for probably future versions of Angular. They're all going to basically be the same. So this is fairly relevant to any version you're probably going to want to install. Okay, so the installation process itself, we need to install node.js and the node package manager, and then Angular itself, and then that's for the actual, so that we can actually code in Angular. Then the environment in which we're going to code is Visual Studio Code, multi-platform. All of this is multi-platform. In fact, we're going to start the video doing an installation on Windows and get a project up, and then switch over to Linux and continue working in the project a little bit further. But it's the commands and stuff, it's the exact same between Visual Studio Code on Linux and Visual Studio Code on Windows. There's no difference, so don't feel anything about that. Oh, we're also going to be installing Git. I'm not going to be showing you how to use Git in this, but Node does check for when it creates a new project. It does check that Git is already installed, and it's just, I'm going to install Git as well, but it's not a requirement. Okay, so if we just take it the logical steps, the first thing you would do is, if you want to install Angular, you would think as well, let's go to the Angular website, which is where we are right now, and says, okay, so what are our options? How can we install it? So I suppose we can click on get started, and great, so it takes us how to create our first app and so forth. But I'll add all these links and stuff down below, guys. Okay, so on the left hand side here, it says setup. Okay, so we click on setup, and it says to us, okay, there's some prerequisites, the node.js. Okay, and it gives us a link to go to node.js.org and install that, which we'll do. Okay, we'll open that in a new page. I must just say that this Windows 10 is running on a virtual machine. It's a basic Windows install. I've done very little to it. I haven't really added anything or removed anything other than a browser, FileZilla. It's the 3 cores, 4 gigs of RAM. And I can't remember the hard drive size. I think it was something like 40 gig or something, I can't remember. Okay, so we go to Node.js, and it tells us we can download the LTS version, the long-term support, or the current. Use the LTS. Okay, the current could be unstable. So okay, we'll click on that, and it says, do you want to install? And we say save, and the download has started. Okay, we could close this tab. We actually finished with Node now. We'll just have to run it once it's installed. Okay, and then we come down further into this Angular setup page, and it says, okay, so once you've installed npm, okay, we're going to install Angular itself using npm. It gives us the command that we can run over here. You'll notice it's got -g here. It means it's a global installation. In Linux, you have to run as a super user to do that. You have to run a sudo for npm as well. But in Windows 10, as far as I know, you don't have to be an administrator to do any of this. Okay, so let's see. I think Node is downloaded. Okay, so let's open the file. Yes, virus warnings as usual. Okay, we'll let that go through. Okay, and wants to continue. Next. Of course, I accept the license agreement. Next, I accept where it wants to install. Just looking at the defaults here. Yes, just say next, and let the installation take place. And yeah, it wants to be administrator. Okay, so yes, let it run. Okay, it's validating the installation. Copying. Okay, we're coming towards an end now. Okay, we might as well just open a command prompt so long. Okay, and I'll also just pin that. be using that a lot in the future. Okay, so let's see. Okay, well, I guess while that's busy installing, we can go and have a look at the Git stuff. So I just did a quick search on Google, how install Git on Windows 10, and the very first hit I get is on the gitsem.com page, and it's got a link to getting started installing Git. You can go that way. Alternatively, I mean, just click on that and you can go to the actual website itself. Just click on the Git logo, and it'll take you to the site. We're already on it. Okay, but yeah, it tells you that you can install this version for Windows. I actually found one that I think I've used this one in the past. It's fine, there's nothing wrong with it. But I did notice something else that looks fairly interesting, which you might want to download instead. I think it is this one, yeah, this Atlassian Git tutorial one. I think it's this one. Let's just see if it opens. Mac installer. This is actually not the one that it was. Where did I find that other one? It looked like it was a very nice one. I'm sure it was actually on this link from Git themselves. Installing Git, installing a Windows. Yes, here we go. Okay, so sorry. If I can just step back again. So I'm on the. I just did a search for how to install Git on Windows 10 in Google, and the first hit that came up was the gitsem.com book getting started page. So if you go to that, you'll actually notice. One second, my phone is ringing. I'm gonna have to answer that. Sorry about that. Just had to take a quick phone call. Okay, so if you go down a little bit further here, it says installing a Windows, and it gives you a link here. For more information, go to the gitforwindows.org page. And it brings us to this page, and I just had a quick squirt through it, and it looks interesting. So for fun, I'm going to be installing this version into Windows. But I mean, Git is Git, so just features around it, but the basic Git is the same. So okay, so I download that. I notice here something's asking me for. Okay, so node.js has been installed. Okay, and what that means is if we go to our command prompt, we should now be able to see what version is installed. We say npm --version. Not recognized. Okay. On the installation, it added npm to the path in Windows, but obviously this command prompt is not. This window hasn't been updated with that. So we close it, we reopen it, and now we can say npm --version. Okay, and we should be on the latest version, obviously, since we just installed it. Taking a moment, don't know why. Okay, 690. I do notice my Linux one is I think 611 something, just for interest sake. Okay, so npm is installed, and we can leave this window open for now. If we go back to the Angular installation page, so it says we have to install node.js, and we tested the version of the npm. Okay, the next thing we need to do is to actually install Angular. So we use npm for that. So it's npm install -g at angular /CLI. Again, the -g is for global. Okay. Where is my command prompt? Okay, so we go to the command prompt, and we paste that in there. Okay, so, and we run that. So using npm, Angular CLI will be installed. Okay, so let that go through. It'll take a little moment. We'll minimize that for now. And then the last thing we need to have a look at is Visual Studio Code. So you just go to https code.visualstudio.com. It will detect what operating system you're on. In this case, it knows we're on Windows, so you can just select this big green link here, and it'll let us download Visual Studio Code for Windows. Visual Studio Code, I'm having quite a bit of fun, and it's nice that it's multi-platform. I mean, I use it in both Linux and Windows. So, okay, so yes, do you want to download it? Yes, let the download start. Okay, and that's about it. We don't need much more. So let's minimize Firefox here. Let's see what's happening here. Okay, let that run for a moment, let the installation complete, and then we'll continue. Okay, the installation is coming to an end, and Jared asks us, would you like to share anonymous usage data with Google? The default is no. I'm going to say no, and I'm going to make sure by saying capital N, by saying capital N, enter for no. Okay, so no analytics are being sent. We're going to have the same question when we do Visual Studio. Okay, so we've installed Node Packet Manager. We've also now installed the Angular CLI. We can test it by actually saying the same as with npm. We can say ng. Okay, that's for the Angular command line. Ng is the commands we start or we use, and the same as version, and we should be on 8 something. See what it is. There we go. All right, so it's 834. Angular CLI is 834. Yeah, something else that you should look into is also installing an Angular materials. That's something that's definitely going to help you a lot in your coding as well, and also makes things look quite pretty, quite powerful. Okay, so we'll leave that window for now. I want to do Visual Studio Code first, so I take it the code download is completed. Yes, it has. So we open that up, minimize Firefox again, and there we go. Visual Studio Code is yes, I've read the entire agreement. I don't accept it, but I have to. I have no choice. And we say next. I'll just accept the defaults. Okay, what does it ask us here? Okay, add to path right to the bottom. Yes, obviously we want that. Register code as an editor for supported. No. Add code for Windows Explorer. Yeah, okay, I'm going to add it to the Explorer directory context menu, and no desktop icon. So if you're okay with that, install, and Visual Studio Code will go ahead and install. Okay. Okay, well, that's running. Okay, let's actually use Angular now to create a project. Okay, so in my current directory, let's folder. Let's just see what's in here. Do I have a project that I can stick a folder I can stick my projects in? No. Okay, so I'm just going to create a folder quickly. Projects, and cd to projects. Come on, although I can't remember, Windows isn't case sensitive. So okay, so we in projects now. Okay, and inside here we want to create our project. Okay, so just quickly look at Visual Studio Code. It says it's finished, and we can launch it immediately. I'll let it launch just so that you can see how it starts up initially. Takes a moment. It also does take you to a website in which it tells you how to switch off telemetrics and etc. extras. Well, it's actually going to ask you, and okay, the Windows now. What's my default browser? Yes, Firefox. Okay. So I wonder if it's, yeah, so it's already opened it. Just as Visual Studio Code opens up, so okay, it goes and starts up this page. Okay, you can read on that, and oops, sorry, close the virtual machine. Okay, so if we go back to Visual Studio Code, okay, you'll see at the bottom here it says help improve Visual Studio Code by allowing Microsoft to collect usage data. Okay, you can, if you click on opt out, it takes you to a website. Well, okay, let me do it. I'll click on opt out, brings you to this page. It tells you how to get rid of it, but basically all it really comes down to, all you really need to do is let's cancel that window, maximize Visual Studio Code. Okay, is if we come to file, sorry, where are we? File preferences, okay, and then settings. This is in Visual Studio Code now. All right, and all we need to do is start typing under search settings here, telemetry, Okay, and it's already picked up two things here. Okay, so telemetry is currently enabled, so we switch that off. Well, by your choice, of course. And the crash reporter you can switch on or off. I switch mine off on that as well. Come on, I just clicked. There we go. Okay, and it's because of that we have to restart Visual Studio Code. So we say restart. Okay, and we should be up and running. Okay, let's just close the settings page. It remembers from last time this is where we were. Okay, now the important thing to remember about Angular or Angular development is that I know a lot of you guys might come from Visual Studio and you know, creating a C# projects and so forth, and you have a solution folder and project folders and so forth. Now you don't have like you can't double click on a file per se in Angular or in the Angular environment and then open up Visual Studio Code, for instance, and it works. It reads some project file or whatever and it works. How you actually bundle things together and make a project in Angular is by putting all the files in the same folder. Okay, so all you have to have is access to that folder, and if you open that folder up in Visual Studio Code, you can start coding. Okay, so there's no specific solution file or project file you've got to double click on to open or anything. So so what I've done now is, remember, we created a folder called projects, and inside this I'm now going to create an Angular project called my website. Okay, so remember it's ng, okay, for Angular commands, and we say new. All right, and then the name of our project. This name that you choose is not really going to show up anywhere, you know, on a website page or anything. This is just basically the folder name that it's going to create and which is going to stick everything. So if we say my website, okay, and we let that run through. So what it will do is it's gone and created a new subfolder under projects now called my website, and it's going to do the installation. And one of the first questions it asks you is, would you like to do Angular routing? Now a lot of you guys do understand routing from the ASP.NET MVC stuff, and many other frameworks obviously, but routing is quite a popular thing as well. The default is no, but I'm going to use routing, so yes. Okay, so I'll leave that on. All right, and then it asks us about CSS. Do you want to install plain CSS or some processor for it? There's SAS, less SCSS. I personally use SCSS, but I'm going to leave it on standard CSS. Okay, so if you already know CSS, you'll fit right in. You can go ahead and code. Okay, so it's going to create our project for us. It does take a little while. So I'm actually going to break this video at this point and let it complete. And once that's done, we'll go further. Okay, and it's created the application for us. And oh shoot, I immediately see it tells us Git does not recognize an internal external command. This is what I wanted to avoid when I was saying up front we're going to do the installation of Git as well, but it's not necessary. Okay, so Angular does assume that Git is installed, and well, we never did it. I'm sure I downloaded it, I can't remember. Let me just quickly look here by my downloads. Yeah, I downloaded it, but I don't think I actually ran the installation. I can't remember. I'll go back in the video and look. It'll be interesting though, if they did do the install, why did Angular not pick it up? In fact, so what we can do is, if I just, okay, so I'm going to open up a new window, and open up a new window, and just type in Git. I mean, okay, unrecognized. So okay, it wasn't installed. So, but that doesn't matter. For purposes of this tutorial video, it doesn't matter. Okay, so like I say, so our last command that we ran was ng new my website, and that was done in the folder projects. So if we do a listing of what's in this folder now, we'll notice that there's this new folder called my website, and if we change to that folder, Okay, and we do a listing of that. All right, there are all the files that Angular went and created for us, and this is our starting point. Okay, this folder, remember I said with Angular you don't really have a SLN file or a proj file like with if you're doing a C# development. You actually start off with a folder, and what's everything bundled together in a folder makes your project. You will notice a lot of JSON folder extensions here. This is where a lot of the configurations are set, which you would typically expect from a project solution file, etc. So that's where a lot of that is stuck in. So it does have a git ignore file. So if you did install git, get to it, follow the conventions and do what git ignore tells it to do, or not do, should I say. Okay, now to actually get to this project, okay, you can go to Visual Studio Code, open it up, all right, and I'll show you two ways to do this. So what we need to do is we go to File and you say Open Folder, all right, and now, okay, we're going to navigate to that folder. So that is, where's my stuff? Just a quick way to get to it. Users. Dean, okay, and we should have a projects. There's projects, my websites. Okay, so we open my website. Okay, so we at the same point as we are here. Okay, it's the exact same place now. So all we tell Visual Studio is select folder. Okay, and he'll go ahead and he'll open up the project for us. Okay, and takes a little moment. Okay, and that should be it. Okay. It's very important when you do builds and stuff that you are in this root folder and not in a subfolder or anything like that of it. All right, there's other things you can do on the side. You can install additional extensions and so forth. There's so many. There are some very nice extensions to install, as a by the way. Sometimes some are also recommended to you down on the bottom right corner as you're doing things. But okay, so if you want to go back to the Explorer, you click on those two little folders on top of each other and you're back again. Okay, now we could start actually working, but I'm going to now show you another way to open Visual Studio in the right folder by not actually opening up Visual Studio first. So if we, in our folder, so we in other words, we've created our Angular application, we changed directory into that Angular application folder that was created for us. Now all you need to say is just code, and that's to invoke Visual Studio Code, code dot. Now remember, dot means current directory, all right? So if you say code dot, code is not really, again, okay, it's because of the path issues. So, all right, we'll do it the long way. You got to reload the path again. So, okay, don't worry about it. So we say cd projects, projects / my, come on, am I not in the correct? Yeah, why did he recommend all sorts of stuff that doesn't exist? Okay, so we're back in our folder. So assume we just created the Angular project and we changed into the folder. And you could just say code dot. This also works on Linux as well with this standard. I mean, this is how it works. All right, and boom, it opens up Visual Studio for us, and it immediately opens it up into our folder, and we can start working. Okay, I just want to close this command prompt for now. In fact, yeah, let's just close that. We don't really need that. Okay, and the first thing I suppose we can do is just to actually build it and test that everything works and so forth. The shortcut to, okay, we need to open up, I can't remember the, yeah, here we go. Okay, so you go to View in the menu and you go to Terminal, okay, and it says Control plus and that little, I forget what you call that character. It's right, it's the key next to your #1 character on the keyboard. So if you press that, then you get your terminal, okay, down at the bottom here, it opens up, all right, and takes a moment here, and okay, so now we would normally, just to make sure that everything is working, we could say ng build and tell them for production, for instance, -- prod, all right, and we'll let it build and it'll do its thing, and I can prove to you that okay, the build works. But what's right after that, I'm going to actually run another command, which is instead of ng build, I'm going to run ng serve. And what it does is it builds the project at that point in time and then actually launches it into your browser. So in order to not duplicate things where it basically does the same thing. So normally you could just say enter here now. But to do two things in one go is I'm going to build it and open it up in the browser at the once it's done the build. So it's NC server -o for open the browser. And so the serve meaning, you know, starts up a little HTTP server for you and a little local server, and it can actually serve the pages that Angular is going to show you in your browser. So we ng serve -o and press enter, and it takes a little while, and it's going to do a build. And I'm going to leave it for a moment and let it do its build, and then once it's done it, we'll be back. Okay, and we're coming to an end, and it says compiled successfully, and it's supposed to now open up my browser. It says, oh, okay. Okay, it opens the browser. I wanted to quickly show you something, but there we go. So it opens up the My Website page. This is the default when your project is generated. It sticks in its own little starter page. Yeah, it's the equivalent of a hello world. And okay, so that's Angular up and running. And interestingly, yeah, they give you a little link here to install, or how to install Angular, ng add Angular material. That's nice. You could do that, learn a bit about material. But all right, and it tells you how to create a new component. Components, so think of them as basically your individual HTML pages that you can navigate to in your project to display. So what they recommend, or what they say you should do, is you type out ng space generate space component, and then the name of your component. Okay, like my home page, or contact us page, or something like that, whatever you want to call it. All right. But you don't have to type out ng generate component. You could just do it in a short form, ng g and c. So ng space g space c. That's a convention that you typically use. And you create classes this way and everything. Remember, a component in Angular is, like I was saying, that's basically your page. You know, your individual HTML pages is basically considered a component. Now remember, Angular is a SPA application, single page application development environment, and that individual, the single page application, each little page that gets displayed is a component. Okay, so what I wanted to show you actually is in Visual Studio. It says over here, okay, open your browser to that address there. So localhost port 4200. And so let's say your browser didn't start up. Then you could just come in and type in localhost 4200 and it'll take you there. And okay, well, that's it. We've installed Angular. We've installed Node. We didn't install Git, but try that one that I said. It might be an interesting little download, that one. Okay, just so to stop the server from running, we press Control C. Okay, and it's going to ask if you want to terminate the batch job, and say yes. This is the one bit that's different with Linux. It just cancels it immediately. It doesn't ask for that. The reason why I'm bringing that up is because the next step is actually to start working in Angular, write our first little application. And for that, I'm going to be doing a new video. It's going to be a follow-up to this one, and actually it'll be, the link to it will be in the comments of this video down below. So yeah, you can see how to do your installation, and then the next video is how to write your first Angular app, and how the basics, you know, how the components fit together, how routing works, and so forth. The basics to get you going. But yes, remember, a good website is something that a user sees. So it still comes down to visibility, and you're still going to make it look pretty at the end of the day. And yeah, so your styling through CSS and your materials, theming and so forth will play a role. But all right, that's it. So thanks for listening, and I hope my speaker was a little bit better. My sound recording was a bit better than it was was yesterday. I have fiddled and hopefully it's sorted, but I've got a feeling it's not. So if it isn't, I do apologize sincerely, but we'll see. And yeah, thanks a lot. Please look for the next video coming up. It'll be in the description down below, or you can just go to my YouTube channel and just see for the next video and play that. Okay, thanks a lot, guys. See you next time, and bye.